When I was younger, I was questioning why Satan had a tail. And I looked it up. I looked up why other animals had tails. And it helps with balance. It helps balance them out. And I got curious and I was like, okay, well, maybe Satan has a tail because he is trying to balance himself, with his own tail. Which is interesting because the sin of Satan, the sin of Lucifer, is pride. He thinks that he is better than God. And we see throughout scriptures that Satan is trying to prove to God that men are sinful and aren't deserving of heaven. And Satan knows that God sent his only son, Jesus Christ, to bleed and die on a cross for our sins, and that if we believe in him, we will be forgiven and let into paradise. Satan knows all this. Satan's not dumb. People may think that Satan is just this guy who's just like a fool, just running around, just tempting people. Satan is very, very intelligent. He's been around for at least 6,000 years. He's been around probably since the creation of the universe itself. We are at most 80, 90, if you're lucky, maybe 100 or so years old. Satan is thousands of years old. He is an incredibly wise angel, demon, whatever you want to call him, being. And he's very good at what he does. He's very good at tempting us. That's why in the Garden of Eden, Satan says, in the form of a serpent, he says, did God really tell you that you can't eat of any tree of the garden? Like, really just none of them. And he's like, no, we can eat of all of them, except we can't eat of this tree, and we also can't touch it, which isn't something that God said. She adds something to his command, and that's possibly what led to her falling into the temptation. And what does Satan say? Satan says, no. If you eat of it, you're going to become like God, knowing good and evil. What's he trying to do? It's the basis of pride. Oh, I can be like God. Oh, I can define good and evil for myself. And that's what Satan's trying to tempt us to do. Satan knows that at any moment, with the right amount of sacrifice and belief and faith in God, we can be accepted into his kingdom. He knows this. And so what he does is he tries to make us think of ourselves as God. Because if we think of ourselves as God, then we don't need God. We don't need his forgiveness. We're God ourselves. We can forgive ourselves. I can allow myself into paradise. That's what Satan thinks himself. It's also what he's trying to make us think, because he wants us to commit the unforgivable sin. And the unforgivable sin is something like playing so many games with God that you have hardened your heart so much to him that you don't want forgiveness. The unforgivable sin is not a sin that you commit once and God says, "Nuh-uh, I'm not forgiving you for that." It's a sin that you commit when and after you commit this sin, you don't want to ask God for forgiveness. And this is what Satan wants us to do. He wants us to rely on our own tail. He wants us to think of ourselves as the God of the universe. He wants us to think that we can redefine the divine law, the 10 Commandments, whatever you want to call it, of the Old Testament, of Leviticus. Oh, well, I can define those for myself. That's what he wants us to do. And so don't rely on your own tail. Rely on God alone.